part 2 of my witchy book reading vlog. You have to watch them in order because I left the last vlog off in the middle of a book and also in the middle of a series, and I pick it back up in this vlog. So, happy you're here. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Go watch part 1 and then come back here for part 2. So, today we're going to be finishing off my month of reading witchy books. There's only a few left, but I do go into some in-depth reviews of 2 of them. So there will be chapters and timestamps if you want to skip ahead at any point. Yeah, and I wanted to share an extra book right now because even though I didn't vlog it, I did read it like 2 books before starting this vlog. It is a witchy book, so I just wanted to throw it in here because it's all the same vibes, and that way you have one more option of witchy books to choose from. So the book we're going to talk about that I read was Cackle by Rachel Harrison, and it's like a contemporary women's fiction with like fantasy, paranormal, magical realism elements to it. If it didn't have the fantasy elements, I'd definitely like classify it as like a women's fiction. So the premise of the book, the sun is like going in and out behind clouds, and I'm using natural lighting, so if you notice lighting changes, that's what's happening. I'm sorry. I can't help it. So Annie has just broken up with her boyfriend of 10 years, who she thought she was going to marry. Like, she thought this guy was her life partner. He's also her best friend. They're like really good friends. They're best friends, and their relationship kind of turned more into like a friendship roommate situation instead of like being in love. She's still in love with him, and she's so heartbroken that the relationship is over, but Sam is like, he's moved on, and he's confessed that he's not in love with her anymore. He only feels friendship feelings. And they've talked about staying friends, but she's trying to move on. So she takes this job. They live in the city, in New York City, and she takes this job upstate, like up in the country, a teaching job, and she's going to move there and start this new job and just start over and like rebuild her life. And so she moves to this small little town, gets a place to live, and I will say there is a slight trigger warning for spiders. If you don't like spiders, there is an element of spiders in this. I hate spiders, okay? But the type of spider element in this, it's not as creepy as like, I know it's really hard to explain. I know it sounds weird, but it's like a cozy spider element. So I was like kind of worried because I heard there were spiders in this one. And when the spiders first started showing up, I was kind of like, ugh, I don't know if I want to like read this, or like, is this going to give me an icky feeling or like make me have weird bad dreams, even though it's not like a horror book. But it ended up being fine. It ended up being fine, but I want to put that trigger warning out there because I really don't like spiders, and I'm actually glad that I had the warning from someone that there was a big spider element. But it's a pretty cozy read. So Annie moves out to this little town, and it's your charming witchy fall vibes town. School's about to start, so it's a great time of year to be reading this book. And these spiders keep showing up in her apartment. That's the only weird thing. Like, everything else is great. She meets this woman named Sophie who's like really enigmatic and charming and befriends her. And Annie was like feeling like she had no friends because she's been in this relationship. Sam was her best friend. She kind of just felt like she had nobody and nothing when she moved there. So she's feeling really, special that like Sophie is giving her attention and that Sophie wants to be her friend. And Sophie invites her over to have wine at her house, and I think to have dinner or something. And she agrees to go, gets directions to get to her house. And Sophie lives in the middle of the woods, and she gets there and she lives in this mansion. Okay. So she's like, what the heck? Like, is Sophie like rich? Like, she must be like filthy rich. Okay. But it appears that Sophie lives alone in this giant mansion, and she really likes her. She goes and spends time there, but some like weird stuff is happening around the mansion. And also people around the town are saying weird things about Sophie. And she's kind of Annie's starting to put these things together and starts to suspect that maybe Sophie is a witch. But it's like this thing where she's like, no, but like witches don't exist, Anyway, Sophie reminds me of the character, this is going to date me, so like you may not even know this movie if you are younger, but Under the Tuscan Sun, I love that movie, by the way. There's a supporting character in that movie. Her name is Catherine, and she's also kind of like the crazy town lady, and she's just like living her life and doing her thing, and she's different from everyone, and she doesn't care what anyone thinks, and everyone kind of just thinks she's kind of weird, and she also befriends the woman, the main character in the movie. That's what I envision. I envision Catherine from Under the Tuscan Sun. That's how I envision Sophie, but maybe with like a little bit more dark witchy vibes. But anyway, she's very likable as far as I'm concerned, and charming, and, you know, Annie is really trying to discern, like, what is real. Okay, so after she moves, like, she and Sam are still keeping in touch because they've agreed to be friends. And, you know, Sam is, like, calling her and totally just, like, acting like they're still best friends, but Annie's, like, heartbroken. If you've been through a breakup like that, you know how that is when, like, it's very one-sided and you are just, it's like torture, right? When like you still have feelings for someone and they're still reaching out to you, but like they don't want to be with you. Awful situation, breakup, right? That's kind of what Annie is dealing with, and she's on this like breakup roller coaster with Sam, trying to remain friends with him. And Sophie's like, you gotta move on, you gotta cut him out, you know, and she's kind of just like teaching her how to like find out who she is and to be like a strong, empowered woman, and to not deal with any BS, you know, from Sam or from anyone, really. That's all I'll say. I don't want to give anything else away. It's a good time, and if you are going through a breakup, I would highly recommend it. It's a really good breakup book. People are always like, I just broke up with my boyfriend. Tell me what book I should read. That's a good, fun, like, it's a really good breakup book to read in the fall. It's cozy and fun, but it also has some nuggets of wisdom. Like, it's good, but it's like not too heavy, you know? This would be a really good book to read like immediately post breakup. It's a little bit lighter, you know, or it's like a good palate cleanser. I rated the book 3.75. I really liked it. I'll tell you right now, there are a few like plot holes. Like there are some weird random like details and magical elements of the world that just like never get explained. And it's not necessary to explain it, but it did leave me kind of wondering, like, well, how did that play, you know, what did that mean, or how did that play into it? Anyways, so I think it could have been better if maybe the actual, like, world or a magic system was fleshed out, like, a little bit more. But all in all, it was great. It was fun. Very, you know, casual book, like some of the other ones I've, you know, been reading. It definitely had kind of like that fairy tale-esque vibe to it with a contemporary setting. So pick it up if that sounds interesting to you. And thank you again, everyone, for being so patient with me while I've been going through it in life. If you've stuck with me through this last like month and a half, you are a real one. I love you. Thank you so much. And let's see what I read for the rest of my witchy book reading vlog. And happy fall. Okay, I finished Bespelled, and I'm so mad. I thought it was a duology, and it's not. It ended on a cliffhanger, and the next book doesn't come out until I don't know when, but it's not out yet. So I'm really disappointed about that. But it was good. It was good, and it's a true enemies to lovers. It's done very well. Then I was going to pick up the ones you guys voted for, which was Hollow Heathens and Rise and Divine. And actually now the Familiars is in the running. So, but I was going to go ahead and read Hollow Heathens because that was like the overwhelming majority for sure wanted me to read that one. But I had The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo checked out from the library, and it was due back in 2 days. And so I wanted to hurry and try to read it before I sent it back, before moving on to those other books that I have on Audible. But I started the book, and it's interesting, but I don't think I'm in the right mood for it. Like, I don't think that if I continue with it right now, that I'm going to enjoy it to its fullest potential. I think that if I come back to it when I'm in the right mood, it could potentially be like a very beloved book. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just soft DNF it and return it to the library and just plan on reading it like maybe next year or just some other time, but not right now. And I'm going to go ahead and start Hollow Heathens, which I own. I bought it on Audible. I bought the Kindle. No, I think the Kindle version was available on Kindle Unlimited. And then once I checked it out, it gave me a discounted option to buy the book on Audible. I'm pretty sure. I'll update the screen if I'm wrong. So, I have it on Audible. So I'm going to go ahead and start that book now. I'm going to put my earbuds in. I'm trying to run a few errands. It's after work. We're having like a belated birthday party for my daughter this weekend. I need to pick up some party things. I'm running into Home Goods. I need some stuff for my house. And I also just had dinner with my partner. So I might do a little like shop with me footage in TJ Maxx just so you can see what they have for the season. And I'll be listening to my book while I run all these errands. That's why I love audiobooks, because I can be getting through my books at the same time that I'm being productive in my life. It's wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so that's my update. I'll talk to you guys later. I'll let you know after I get this going, like, how I feel about it. Hopefully it's much more up my alley for, like, the mood I'm in right now. For me, I look so cute. By the way, if you haven't noticed, I chopped my hair. I cut off like 8 or 9 inches. My hair was getting down to my backside. I couldn't deal with it right now. Like, I just have too much going on. I have a lot of hair, and having it be long means that it was kind of like high maintenance. Also because I went through a sudden menopause this year. Due to a hormone disorder I have and having a hysterectomy. I also lost a bunch of my hair, and now it's starting to grow back. Like, it got really thin, and now it's starting to grow back. And so I cut it, hoping that like those baby hairs that are coming back in will have a chance to catch up and thicken up my hair. It's kind of like when you have a baby and you lose a bunch of your hair, and then like it starts to grow back in. That's where I'm at. This is my little buddy this morning. This is Brax. He's my little snuggler. He always has to be wherever I am. If I'm sitting down, he wants some loving. And his sister will probably come join us. Manon, she's somewhere around here. I heard her a minute ago. But anyways, we are officially in fall. It has gotten cold. The leaves are changing. The leaves are even starting to fall off my maple tree in the front yard. It's really pretty. I'll insert like some little footage of the fall colors, and especially of my tree in my front yard, because I built the house I live in, and it is almost, well, let's see, it's 9 years old. So we've been in this house about 9 years, and so this little tiny sapling was planted in my front yard 9 years ago. It's huge now, so I'll show you in comparison to my house, but it's taller than my house. It's a giant tree, but it's taken about 9 years for like its fall colors to fully mature. I don't know if that's the thing with trees, but it's never turned as vibrant of colors as it has this year. So we finally are getting like the bright red and orange, and then The leaves are falling off, so it's a maple tree, if I didn't say that already. I have a lot going on right now in my life, in every aspect, but I am still listening to my books. I think the last time I talked to you guys, I said I was going to start Hollow Heathens. I did start Hollow Heathens, let's see. And it's an indie published book. It's on, I believe it's on Kindle Unlimited, but I also bought the Audible version so I could listen to it. Yeah, so, Hollow Heathens, and I'm about to start chapter 5. So I'm really enjoying it so far. The premise of the book is that we have our main character, Fallon, and she is basically an orphan. Her mother died in childbirth, and her dad died while she was young, and she was kind of raised by, I believe it's her aunt, outside of, like, away from any family. And she knows she has family in this town called Weeping Hollow, but she's never been there since she was born. And she has a grandfather there, and she starts exchanging letters with him, getting to know him, and it turns out that he's sick, and she decides after a year of exchanging letters with him, she lives in Texas, and this town is like in Maine, I believe, that she's going to go see him and get to know him because she doesn't really know any of her family, and she hasn't been back to that town since she was born. So here she is. And here's Manon. She needed some love too. Hi. Yeah, she's like, I deserve love too. So she goes to visit her grandfather and this magical town, and people seem to be kind of like annoyed that she's there. We know that there's like witches, and then we meet this group of boys or young men, I guess, that her friend tells her someone who's befriended her in the town, tells her that they are called the Heathens, that they're bad news, that she just needs to stay away from them, that they're cursed, yada yada. Okay, but she has this like instant interest or like attraction to one of the guys in the group named Julian. And so the story is kind of following Julian. It's a dual point of view, so that's really nice. We get Julian's point of view and we get Fallon's point of view. And Julian is one of the Hollow Heathens, and Fallon is learning about her past and her family lineage and all those things, and kind of trying to figure out like what this magical town is all about. And also, while she's there, she intends to be there for a while as her grandfather's dying, and she doesn't really have like anywhere else she needs to be or anything else going in her life. So she gets a job at the local mortician's office, because that's what she's been doing all of her life, is working with dead people as a mortician. But she also has this magical ability to see the dead people right after they die. And so she works in the mortician's office in Weeping Hollow. So she gets called whenever there's a death. And some of the times she shows up to these calls and she can see the spirits there with the dead bodies, especially if they died under like mysterious circumstances. And so there's this like town mystery kind of going around with different deaths happening, and she's trying to figure it out by talking to the ghosts of these people, but nobody else knows that she can talk to these people, or that she can see them. So this is a secret at this point, and there's some kind of like mischief going on in the town that we as the reader and Fallon as the main character, we don't really know what's going on yet, but there's like little clues being dropped. And we get like the morning announcement on the radio station every morning, and the guy always says like, remember, make sure you don't stay out after 3 a.m. It's not safe after 3 a.m. or something like that. So we know that something weird is going on in the town, and that you shouldn't be out after 3 a.m. and that it's like kind of dangerous to be out after dark, and kind of random bodies are popping up, and there's just like a lot of spooky, mysterious stuff going on, but we don't really know what it is because we're figuring it out with Fallon, like as she goes. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know. I don't think this is an enemies to lovers, but I think it might be a forbidden love, which I really like the forbidden love. It's different. It's a different trope to me than the enemies to lovers, because enemies to lovers is like they go from hate to love, but the forbidden love trope is like
not that they hate each other or that they're denying that there's some kind of attraction or connection there. It's just that for whatever reason, their love is forbidden. They're not allowed to like each other or date or be together. And I don't know what that reason is here, but that's kind of the vibes I'm getting, that Julian and Fallon are forbidden from being together due to whatever this history is of the town. But they obviously have some kind of connection. Like, they both have like kind of weird, feelings and attractions and stuff towards each other, and feel like they're connected, but they're both trying to avoid it because it's forbidden. So that's where I'm at. I will keep you guys updated, but I am really enjoying it. It's actually it hooked me pretty early, and I am listening to the audiobook, and the audiobook is really good. I do recommend it. So I am going to get on with my day today, and then I will give you guys updates as I can. See if these guys will let me get any work done. Let's see. I got these. Do you see these two heads down here? So hard not to just sit around and hold them and play with them all day. I don't really have time for that, but when like you have a newborn baby and like all you want to do is just like hold your newborn baby all day, but you have like a million other things to do. That's how I feel. These are my current babies, because my real baby is 9 and she's not a baby anymore. Look at her. This little girl, she was so traumatized when we got her. She was the runt of the litter, and she was just teeny and kind of like really scared. Like, she would get scared so easily. She would hide in corners or like under the couch. And if there were any kind of sudden noises or sudden movements, or like you picked her up and she wasn't expecting it, she would just shake. Like, she had so much anxiety. And now she's just like so sweet, and she loves a snuggle, and she purrs. She wouldn't purr for the first 2 weeks. I think she had a lot of trauma because she was rescued, and I have a feeling that she was like picked on as the littlest one, even though this guy's like super protective. But there were lots of kittens in the litter, and they were out in the country, lots of like wild cats and like feral cats and like other wild animals. And so and one of the other kittens was badly hurt, the broken tail and like a piece of his ear missing. So I have a feeling that she had gone through some trauma. But now she's purring right now. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but now she's growing and she's more friendly, and she purrs and she loves to be held, and she's actually really feisty. It's been really fun to like see her, like, once she started to feel safe for her like real personality to come out. She's actually not timid. She's actually very feisty, very independent, and she does love the loves, but like she's more independent, and like he always wants to be held and wants snuggles and wants attention. Like he'll follow you all over the house, and if you ignore him for too long or don't hold him enough, he'll start meowing at you. Whereas she likes to be held now and stuff, but she prefers to most of the time be on her own, like doing her own thing, or she'll play with him, but like she doesn't want to be held or babied, and she's very independent and explores, and they play together, and it's really cute. They're definitely like brother and sister, and definitely bonding, but they'll get in these like tackle kind of fights. It's just very playful, but like a cat fight, and he's obviously like bigger than her and stronger, so he can take her down. But she's super feisty, and so like she'll wait till he's not paying attention, and she'll like creep up on him and like pounce him, or like if they're up on a bed or up on the couch and they've been playfully wrestling and he's anywhere near the edge, she'll sneak up on him and push him off the edge. It's really hilarious. Cats are so freaking funny. I never understood the reference on like TikToks and Instagram before about like getting lost watching cat videos for hours, but like I completely get it now, because cats are funny. They are so funny, and we just adore these guys. They have definitely become part of our family. Every single one of us like adores them, which is, I have 5 kids with completely different personalities, and I thought a couple of them just weren't really going to care about the cats that much, and I knew a couple of them were going to like be head over heels for them, but all of us are head over heels for them. Like, we all adore them, and they have just become part of our family. So anyway, that's our kitty update. You'll be seeing them a lot in future videos, I'm sure. So it'll be fun to watch them grow. Look at her. This little face, she's so cute. They're so cute. They're both just purring on me. See? How am I supposed to get up now and get anything done? I just want to like put my earbuds in and listen to my book while they snuggle me. But I don't have that luxury. I have so much to do. Okay. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hollow Heathens on Audible. You guys, it was really good. Like, I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to. It was definitely like a romantasy, witchy vibe. And I thought it was really well done. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm really horrible at giving like book summaries because I never read them, and I'm never sure like how much information to give because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. Okay, so here's the back of the book. We're getting like a little excerpt from the MMC and then an excerpt from the FMC, okay? So this is from like we're hearing from the MMC. Once upon a time, there lived a girl named Fallon who was taken far away from home shortly after she was born, a home that held more than strange traditions and bizarre superstitions. 24 years later, she returned to Weeping Hollow, a town she'd only heard about in stories during restless nights under a marble moon, in the middle of the night to take care of her last living relative. They called her the Nosy Mortician, a freak show, a ghastly thing. They said I couldn't go near her. Still, there was this aching pull to Fallon Grimaldi that I couldn't escape, a nostalgic pull as if we'd been here before. And now from the FMC. Once upon a time, there lived a mysterious boy named Julian, with a curse as old as centuries wrapped around his soul. He was one of the 4 Hollow Heathens, the very dark creatures who caused the townspeople to live in fear, and the Blackwell name was stained with darkness and death. They called him a monster, cold and hollow. They said I shouldn't go near him. Still, there was this aching pull to Julian Blackwell that I couldn't escape, a nostalgic pull as if we'd been here before. So the audio is like 19 hours, which isn't terrible, but you know, it was a decent length. So it definitely was a forbidden love, and I thought the way that the story was told was, you know, it was complex. Like, a lot of times these days, a lot of the books I'm reading are very kind of like 1 or 2 dimensional and don't seem to have like a lot of depth to them, but I thought this one had a lot more depth, like a lot more complex story, history, magic system, world building, characters, like complex characters, and I really, really enjoyed it. I like the love story. I like their personalities a lot. I like how Fallon she's not your typical FMC. She's a little bit different from what I've seen in a lot of like fantasy, romantasy books recently. We're used to like that really like badass, like don't care what people think, go getter against all the odds, right? But there's very much a lot of people in the world that feel like Fallon, who feel like they don't know where they belong. They don't feel like anybody really sees them or gets them. And she is more unsure of herself. She is also an orphan at this point because neither of her parents are alive. And she does have a lot of trauma in her history. And she's been bullied, and she doesn't really fit in this town. She feels like she kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. And then we've got Julian, who is one of the Hollow Heathens, who seems really like tough and scary on the outside, but we start to learn that he just has grown up always being told that he's a monster and that he's cursed, and he's kind of like stuck in this box of who he's supposed to be and was never allowed to find out who he wants to be, like who he is. He's always just been who everyone else wants him to be. The interesting part of the magic system and kind of world there is that part of the curse of the Hollow Heathens is that just looking at them can kill you. And so they wear these masks to prevent people from seeing their naked faces. And so the Hollow Heathens all have masks on, and that is protecting the town and the people around them from seeing their faces and like the devastating effects of the curse. So as long as they have their mask on, they can be around other people. But if their mask gets taken off and someone sees their face without their mask on, then per the legend, it's deadly. So we have that aspect going on. There's very much an element of forbidden love, like a kind of like Romeo and Juliet situation. Because of this curse, the Hollow Heathens have just kind of stayed away from society. They're kind of destined not to ever, fall in love or be part of like the rest of the town and the rest of society. They're kind of like outcast because they're considered dangerous. And the coven has been trying to solve this curse for generations. They can't figure out how to break it. And Julian, our main character, he is super dedicated to figuring out how to break the curse. He wants to break the curse. And what we learn about Julian is that he believes he's a monster. There's a lot of references to Frankenstein in the book. So I believe that it's definitely inspired by Frankenstein. And even our character, he loves the book, and it's like quoted inside the book. But he believes he's a monster like Frankenstein. And he believes that he doesn't belong, that he's a danger to society, and that he doesn't have anything good to offer the world. But that's not what we see on the outside. What we see on the outside is this heathen that is like scary and dangerous and not really approachable, and people are scared of, like a bully. And then we have Fallon. Her only goal there is to take care of her grandfather, who she's been exchanging letters with. And she just wants to know her family and be connected to somebody because she's lived away from this town most of her life, which is where her family was from. And then she lost both of her parents, and she's trying to find her roots. She's basically trying to find some connection to home, some connection of family, somewhere that she belongs, because she seems to be like feeling very untethered. But she's there, and as soon as she's in this town, like, she's getting nothing but trouble. She sticks out like a sore thumb. Nobody seems to want her there. No one is being kind to her, except for the people that she works with. But she's there now, and she's going to be there for a while. And that's basically all I can say without giving away too many spoilers. It's definitely like a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but with witches. Despite the fact that their love is forbidden, they can't help but be drawn towards one another. Like, they feel very intrinsically connected to each other, like a magnet. Like, they feel drawn to each other. They keep coming back to each other. It's really hard to stay away from each other. What is going on with my hair, you guys? Holy moly. Anyway, so honestly, I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I was going to. I really felt super connected to Fallon and Julian by the end of the book. I was like invested in them as people and invested in their relationship. And from what I understand, this is the first book in a series of interconnected standalones. But based on how the book ended, so it does tie up nicely, but it kind of leaves enough loose ends that I think we're taking one of those and we're going to read a whole nother book about that loose end, that storyline. So I do recommend it. I think that I'm going to give the book like 4.25 stars, maybe 4.5. I don't know that I really have any major feedback. It's just I didn't get that 5-star feeling, but it was really good. I would highly recommend it. I loved it more than I thought I would, and I'm 100% going to pick up the next book. Anything above a 4-star is like fantastic in my book, okay? So this was good. I recommend it. It's perfect for this season, for this time of year. After I finished that book, I needed something a little lighter, and I did put a poll up on my YouTube community tab. So make sure you're following me, that you're subscribed, and that you're following, because I do like to get input from you guys. And you'll only see those posts if you're subscribed to me. And I put up a poll, and man, the numbers have been all over the place. But I went with what was the leading story at the time, which was Rise and Divine by Lana Harper. And I've read all the rest of the books in her Witchy series, which are also a series of standalone, like interconnected, that take place in the same town. Thistlegrove, I think is the name of the town. I believe this was the 5th book in the series. Anyway, I've read all the other books. So I read this one. This one, we're following a main character named Dasha. Dasha has a half-sister named Amrita, and they are part of one of the families that live in Thistlegrove. And as you read like the series, you'll learn about the different covens, or I guess it's, I don't know if they're covens, but the different families and different families inside this town. Like there are main families, and then everyone else is like a mundane. Everyone else is like human that comes in and out of there. And a lot of the town is glamored. So if you're not one of those family members and you don't have the magic, to you it's just going to seem like a charming little, you know, witchy, woodsy town. But for the people that live there, that the witches that live there, it's magical. Everyone has their own different kind of magical abilities. And this family, they have the ability to speak with the dead. And also our main character, Dasha, she has a specific ability to be, she's what's called a devil eater. So she's able to like exorcise demons from people or from objects, and kind of, so her and her sister Amrita, who also has that power, but it's like not as strong. So Dasha's like has the strongest power. They run a family little business where they help exorcise demons from people, from things. And they come across this one demon who is bigger and stronger than anything they've ever seen before. And in trying to rid this person of this demon during the exorcism, Dasha crosses over to the other side, which is an ability she has. It's one of her abilities. And she learns something about what's happening on the other side that is going to threaten Thistlegrove and the families that live there. And when she comes back, we kind of learn about her history, and we learn that through this ability that she has to go over to the other side, it's like an addiction. Like she becomes intoxicated when she goes there. And there's very much like a picture being painted of addiction and sobriety and recovery throughout the story. So if that is a trigger for you, just trigger warning. But we learn a lot about her past, about her addiction, about why, like how it came to be, how she overcame it, the way that it had affected the relationships around her. And there's a bit of a second chance romance because she comes across the only girl that she's ever really loved, that she's never stopped thinking about. But during her period of being addicted, before she was rehabilitated and became sober, she, you know, did some things that were very hurtful and ruined that relationship. And so, but she needs this person, her Ivy, her lost love. She needs Ivy's help to kind of solve this demon problem. And so as they are working together to solve this demon problem, we have this second chance romance blossoming, and it's really sweet. So it's written in a way that it doesn't feel as deep or as heavy as like a literary fiction would with the same topic. We definitely have like the whimsical, fantastical, witchy elements from like a cozy fantasy, but she addresses like some of these heavier topics, but in a way that doesn't feel too heavy, if that makes sense. So I really sped through that book. I did listen to it. I had it checked out from the library, and I listened to it in like less than 24 hours. And I feel like it was the perfect book to end on. I really enjoyed it. It was right on track with the other books in the series, and I would probably give it 4 stars. It was a 4-star book. It was very good. I would definitely recommend it. So if you're looking for something that has like the witchy fall, definitely has the witchy fall vibes. It takes place in the fall. They're like setting up like festivals and for Halloween, and there's definitely like the demons and, you know, the good versus evil, and like it's in the mountains and it's woodsy and creepy, and yeah, definitely fall vibes. 5 stars for the fall vibes. But as far as the story goes overall, I would give it 4 stars. So if that's your thing, I totally recommend it. It's fantastic. And I think I have a bunch of more witchy books that I want to read, but I think I'm going to end the vlog here because this vlog has taken me so much longer to make than I originally anticipated because of all of the things coming up in my personal life. And I so appreciate your guys' patience and support through all of this. I want you guys to be able to watch it during the witchy season, like before Halloween. And I know a lot of you are looking for book recs right now. Also, if you need even more witchy book recs and you haven't already, check out my other video. I will put it on the end cards with witchy book recommendations because I have a lot of books in there from other seasons as well that I've read. One more book to my vlog because I've been such a terrible vlogger to try to compensate. And I picked The Familiars because it was on the voting polls and it was voted for, and I already had it checked out from the library. So I own the physical copy, but I had the audiobook checked out from the library. This book starts out this is from Fleetwood's point of view. And she's a 17-year-old girl who's pregnant. She's lost several babies. Her husband is older. I think he's in his 30s. And they seem to have like a very loving relationship. He seems to be fond of her. They seem to love one another and enjoy each other's company, and he seems to, really care about her. But she finds this letter that says that her health is at risk in carrying pregnancies, and that she may die if she tries to have another baby, even though none of her other pregnancies have survived. She hasn't had any other live births. She's lost the other babies. And this isn't a spoiler because this happens at the very, very beginning of the book. We start out with Fleetwood finding this letter and running into the woods. And she's very, kind of distraught because she's not meant to find this letter from the doctor saying that her life is at risk. And she doesn't know if her husband knows. And so she's not sure whether her husband knows and isn't telling her or whether he is unaware. And this is new information to her that her life is at risk with another birth of a baby. And so she's out in the woods kind of processing this and trying to figure out what this means and if she needs to confront her husband. And she comes across this woman in the woods. Seems very odd and suspicious and out of place. And she's on their property, but she doesn't realize it. And so she kind of confronts her, and the woman's like, I didn't know I was on somebody else's property. I will get off. She's hunting rabbits. And they just have this kind of strange interaction and end up going their separate ways. She doesn't know her name or know anything about her at this point. But that's the first time they cross paths. And then we see her go back to the estate, and she lets her husband know that there was some kind of trespasser on their property. And we start to get to know her husband, Richard, and kind of the dynamics of the estate. He is a pretty important person in politics, in the area where they live. He has potential to move his way up on the political ladder. And he's financially pretty well established. They're not hurting as far as money goes. I think they're pretty wealthy, or at least very comfortable. And you can tell that Fleetwood really adores her husband and likes to spend time with him and is grateful for him, and thinks that out of all the husbands that she could have landed in this age, because this is in the 1600s where it's arranged marriages and women didn't really have a huge choice, and she's very young. She's only 17. She feels like she's in a better position. And we also get some bits and pieces of her childhood. And we know that she had a rough childhood, but we don't really know why. That she wasn't happy, and that she feels like Richard, her husband, kind of rescued her from that life. And that she's much happier now living with him. We don't know a whole lot about why she was unhappy, but we do know that she lived with her mom and that her mom arranged this marriage. It seems like a love-hate relationship with her mom. And so she's pregnant with her 4th child, and she's very ill. She's having trouble eating. She can't keep things down. She's lost a lot of weight. She looks sickly. It doesn't look promising that this 4th baby, or that this 4th pregnancy is going to work. But Fleetwood really wants to provide an heir for Richard. Her identity is very wrapped up in being his wife and becoming a mother, being able to successfully produce an heir Of course, she has this knowledge in the background that a doctor has said that she probably won't survive another pregnancy. And we still don't know whether or not that is information that Richard knows. So we don't know if her husband has had a chance to read that letter from the doctor. We don't know if he's keeping it from her or if he never saw the letter before she did. And so that's kind of where I'm at in the book. So things are unfolding. I like Fleetwood a lot. And she's just very likable, very personable, and seems like a real person, you know? And it's hard to imagine what life was like in the 1600s as a 17-year-old, married, already been pregnant 4 times, like wife and estate owner with her husband of like this large functioning estate, you know? Like, it's just a different life, a different time. I will say that there are already rumors of like witches and witchcraft happening. Like, she's overhearing these conversations with her husband and other people, other men that are coming to visit, you know, men that he works with or men that are in politics at the time, talking about rumors of witches and witchcraft and kind of like looking for witches. So it's like the beginning. So it's like the beginning of the witch hunts. Like, it's rumors of it. So we are seeing that. Like, we can see that that is the time period that we're in, that this is starting to become an issue, that they're starting to worry about witches. And this is in England during the reign of the king, like King James version of the Bible. Like, I think he's translated the Bible at this point. It's distributed. Like, there's a religious aspect where King James is pushing religion, and witches are like the evil component. Like, they're like the devil. They're the antithesis to the religious narrative that's being pushed. So yeah, so that's where we're at in the book. And I am 6 chapters in. I'm going to keep listening and reading the book today. I'm kind of doing whatever is most convenient. I am helping to take care of my mom because she had chemo treatments this week, and I'll update you guys as soon as I can. Okay, friends, this is going to be a quick update. I'm in my car. I'm going in to spend some time with my mom and help her take a shower and stuff. But I've been listening to the book all day. I'm now in chapter, I think, 18, I want to say. I'm like 68% of the way through the book. And whoa, a lot of things have happened. There are some definite elements of the story that I didn't see coming. And we are in the thick of the witch hunts and just kind of like the hysteria that goes along with that. Can I just say, like, I'm appalled at the way that they treat women. This is not news, right? Like, this is old news, but it's really horrible. So women in good standing, like Fleetwood, who is like a well-respected like station in society, she has like no rights. Okay, she's also like 17 and expected to act like like a 20-year-old, like in their 20s. Like, she's expected to act like a full-grown adult with like experience, but she's only 17, so she's really just a child. But she's pregnant and gonna be a mom, and she's married and in charge of an estate. Like, anyways, even though all of those things, she still is really just treated like she doesn't have a whole lot of rights. Like, men totally run the show in the 1600s, right? And then think about like how badly the women were treated and how little rights they had. Now think about how badly they're treating these witches, who are women, who are now accused of being evil and witchcraft. Like, the conditions are terrible. There is no justice, even though there's a guise of justice, right? Oh my gosh, it's just terrible. Like, this whole book is just infuriating in the best way possible. Like, I'm loving it. Like, this is trending to be like a 4.5 or 5-star for me right now. But it's enraging. It's enraging. So I will leave it at that. Most witchy books are, for the record, because it's mistreatment of women, mostly, all of them. And none of it is just. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my mom. I will continue with the book. I will give you an update as soon as possible, but there's a chance I may finish the book before my next update because it's not a super long book. I don't know if you saw it, but the book wasn't very big. The print was big, and the audiobook is only like 10 hours long. And I listen to my audio at like 1.5 speed. So, this one I'm listening to at 1.5 speed. So I'll probably finish the book today regardless, but whether or not I'll be able to give you an update is currently unknown. but I will jump back on as soon as I can. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I highly recommend it. I'll keep you guys updated. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, I finished the book. It's nighttime now. And I'm back at my house with these little babies. I got one on my lap and one in my arms, which is often how it is. It's like having twins, except kittens, you know? It's like, at least I don't have to breastfeed them. But anyways, okay, I really, really liked this book. Why are more people not talking about this book? I would classify it as historical fiction because it is based on real people and the real witch trials of the 1600s, the Pendleton witch trials. But the story itself is fiction. So it's not necessarily based off of these real people's lives, but what the author did is she took information from the past and she did like a retelling of like where there's these people and there were these witch trials, and there's something unique about this which I can't tell you without it spoiling the story, which is why the explanation is at the end of the book. But she reimagined why there's this like kind of blank space, I guess. Like there's a blank space of this does not follow the pattern, but there's also no explanation for why it doesn't follow the pattern. And I really enjoyed it. You have to go into it knowing that this is taking place in the 1600s. It's true to like the time period. So like the way men treated women, women's station, all of that is going to be, you know, not what we want to hear, but is what women's lives were like in the 1600s in the UK. So if you keep that in mind and you like magical realism, I would say this book is not really fantasy. It's more of a historical fiction with magical realism. So if that interests you, I would recommend this book totally. I didn't quite get that 5-star feeling of like, yes, that was 5 stars, so good. But it was really close. I probably will give it like 4.5 or 4.75. It was very, very close. And I really like Fleetwood. Fleetwood was definitely a character that resonated with me. And I think there's an overarching theme throughout the book, and it's illustrated in several different ways, that things are not always as they appear, and that sometimes we don't know the whole story behind something. We don't always know what people are going through. There's always 2 sides to every story, that kind of thing. So obviously we know that that is a theme in the witch trials because, just the hysteria surrounding the witch hunts and everything. It's definitely like things aren't as they appear, but it shines through in several storylines, and I really, really liked it. I really liked that, like, you can't judge somebody because you never know what they're going through or what they're thinking or what their intentions are. I think a huge part of that is intentions. I think we get ourselves in trouble sometimes when we try to judge people's intentions instead of letting them tell us themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this vlog here because it's been going on for way too long. I'm going to try to get this edited and posted ASAP. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like these themed vlogs of like reading nothing but witchy books for a week or reading nothing but, dark academia or whatever it is, leave a comment down below and tell me what kind of themed reading vlog you'd like to see me do next. Keep in mind, it will hopefully be a bit more productive, like it'll be better produced. Let me put it that way. This was just really bad timing in my life. Like, things got really bad really fast with my dad, and it was unexpected. So when I took this project on to do the witchy book vlog, I didn't know that my life was about to kind of spin out of control for a while. So I hope you guys will forgive me, but I hope it was worth it and that you enjoyed. Brax and Manon, hope you have a fabulous Halloween. All Samhains, isn't that what it's called? Yeah. Have a great one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.